Welcome to Women at Halftime podcast. For men and women at mid-career or the halftime of life with issues that concern you. Maximize your skills, resources, and experience to live an even more fulfilling and significant second half of life. Right here with me, Deborah Johnson, on Women at Halftime podcast. Well, hello. Here we are, the Women at Halftime podcast. Greg's with me today. He's with me once a month.
Hi, everybody.
Yes. He puts on a clean shirt and we show up and we get to do this for video. It's so much fun. So just to remind you, we've got a fun episode today, by the way. The stupid and funny things we've done. We're not only doing together, but also some of the ones that we've done separately. And so it should be a really fun, adding this time of year, fun episode. To remind you, there's a couple books I like to promote during the first of the year, so make sure I can get them at the camera. The Summit, Journey to Hero Mountain, which is an allegory, but I also like to promote this book, Women at Halftime. It goes through all of the steps of women at, yes, oh, look at there. I've got it holding those up for you on the video. Isn't this great? Yeah. And you don't even need to be that tall. Oh, you're covering up. Oh no, that's perfect. So, but it goes through all the steps of what Hero Mountain is in Women at Halftime. So great book there too. So they're both available, of course, on Amazon and other sites. So but we're going to dive into this, and I just thought it was really fun. I looked up our last one because this is kind of our second episode like this. The first one we did was episode 84, and it was the end of 2020. So It was like when we needed like some encouragement. Everybody was like locked down. We did it in December, in the middle of December, December 15th, 2020. So now we are in the 140, I think this might be 145, our fifth.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're revisiting it. This little subject.
And notice we haven't run out of material.
No.
We've done things we've done over time.
I think that's continuing. So we'll probably do another one next year. So, but they're just fun to be able to do. So I'm going to bring up a couple that I've done separately, and then I'm going to let Greg do a couple that we were either together or we've shared a little bit of this. But some of mine has to do with cooking. Now, I'm actually a very good pie maker.
She's trying to get a little empathy out of all of you. So feel free to send comments like, I know exactly how you feel.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so growing up, and I think I was in high school, college years, and we got on this big honey kick in my household.
Yeah, honey apparently made everything healthy.
Healthy. So I got onto this kick of cooking everything with honey. So my dad...
What kinds of things did you make besides...
Granola. But the story I have is lemon pie.
Oh, yeah.
So I made this lemon pie, and if you've ever made now I grew up in a pie making family. So my dad was a fireman. We should all be 300 pounds really because of how much pie we ate. But we would make a pie every day my dad was home from the fire station. It was just kind of one of those southern things. So we make this...
now they spread that work out amongst three girls.
Yes.
So it wasn't like Debbie was making it every day.
I know.
But one of the three girls, apparently, I wasn't around, made a pie.
Yeah. And that's why I'll come like, I make crust from scratch and all of that. But anyway, this lemon pie, I thought, I'm going to make it a little healthier. So I put honey in it. Okay, so the color of honey? The lemon pie, first of all, it was a little runny because... what happens in the filling of lemon pie is that it kind of firms up with the sugar, just like jam. And I do make jam too, so it firms up. Well, it never quite firmed up, and it was a little brown color. My father, bless his heart, he just says, I don't think you need to make one of those anymore with honey. Please lay off the honey. Because we come home with those big 5-pound thing of it. But there's a lot of jokes about this because my sisters, if there was a batch of burnt chocolate chip cookies, they would bring them out and say, oh, Debbie made them. So, I'd get blamed. But I'm going to let you tell a story, and then I'll go on to my Bon Appetit story.
Okay, so Mine might not be quite as good as Deb's, but
That'd be good.
a good one was we were vacationing with the boys in Crater Lake one summer while they were all young teenagers. And I think it was August, but in Oregon, it can be raining at any time. And it happened to be one of those weeks where it was a perpetual drizzle. It never full on rained, but it was, always keeping your hair wet. So one of my jobs was to get the fire going, and they had a fire pit. And unfortunately, this fire pit was near a pine tree, and the water kept dripping into the fire pit. So I came up with a clever idea, and that was we had an extra tarp. So I tied one end of the tarp from the pine tree and extended it out, and then it kind of created a roof over the fire pit. And everything was working great. Had the fire going. I'd made it tall enough that the smoke could escape, and everything was hunky dory.
And we were so cold, and it was so nice to have that fire. We were freezing.
Yeah.
We were camping.
And about the time we start to really enjoy it, and I'm really getting proud of myself, the light rain had kind of gathered in the middle and made the tarp heavier and heavier. And finally, you got to imagine this, the tarp's like this, and it finally goes, and all of the water literally dumped right on the fire, right in the middle of the fire pit.
And I can't remember what you said at that moment, but it was probably not good.
It was probably something like, "Oh me."
That's what my dad usually say. Oh me. I don't know if it was "oh me" though, but it was.
Well, it wasn't anything that
it was too bad because the boys were there. Yeah.
Well, I never say anything too bad anyway.
No, you don't.
But
no, you don't.
It was definitely one of those. Because I did not see that coming.
No, none of us did. We were just all excited to be around a fire.
I had to create a workaround after that, which apparently worked much better than that one.
I think we all went to bed in our sleeping bags or something. It was so cold. It surprised us how cold it was. I think that was really surprising. And we were camping. We camped a lot, and that's what we did.
We went on some great walks and hikes, though.
Yeah,
that was
really
beautiful campsite.
Yeah, we really did. And there was, as I remember, in Crater Lake, there was snow. So it was
way up at the top.
Yeah, way up at the top. We all sat there with our hot chocolate. So it was cold. So it was kind of refreshing because I think it had been warm down the hill. So okay, well, yeah, that was a really. It wasn't really funny at the time, but
it was hysterical at the time. Yeah, it was
I don't know. I was like, oh darn. But okay, I'll go on to my Bon Appetit story because I love my sisters. And both of them are very good cooks. And one of them...
And not only are they very good cooks, they like to cook.
They like to cook. They really do. And but one of them would get this monthly Bon Appetit magazine. This gorgeous, if you've ever gotten Bon Appetit. Oh my, the pictures in it and the recipes, and they're so nice. And so she said, oh, here, I'll just give you my old copies. So she started giving me, and we were newly married. We were young, married. We were in our first apartment, which we called the Hot Box. So, but I decided, I'm going to surprise Greg and our company. I'm going to make a recipe from Bon Appetit. I know, I thought, I'm just so excited. Well, first of all, I whipped the whipped cream a little a little long, and so it whipped into butter. Okay, so you can't whip cream that long. Okay, so that was the first mistake.
Note to self.
Yeah, note to self. So I had to go to the store, get more whipped cream. And I spent all day long on this recipe. And it was one of those that you put everything and roll inside. And it was like I went to roll. It looked like a crumb loaf. It was like, I spent all day. You mean I spent all day on this? From then on, I said, do not send me any more Bon Appetit. I am never doing a recipe out of this. It was a total waste of my time. I'd rather write a song.
Yeah. And the net effect is that we eat a lot of salads.
Yeah. We do. I'm a very good salad maker, but I can make a pie.
You can make
a pie and jam.
And whipped cream.
And now I can make,
She's
I watch it.
great at making homemade whipped cream.
Yeah, I time it. I set my timer because I know I've done it before. So, well, it's your turn.
Okay.
Okay.
So another vacation story. We had camped with one side of the family, so a few of the cousins were with us, and we'd started at a lake in the interior of California, and then we were going to finish this vacation on the coast of California. So we had to leave the lake, and we had to go over the hills that kind of bracket central California from the coastal California. And at the time, we had an old Toyota cargo van.
Converted.
That had been converted, and we were scrimping around on nothing, and so we were lucky to have the van. And the kids, they were again early teens. We might even had one of the cousins still 9 or 10.
Yeah.
So it wasn't unbearable. They could endure anything.
Yeah.
But I realized we had 7 of us in a van, and it was packed full of all of our camping stuff, and it was one of those 90-degree California summers. Yeah. So we're leaving the mountains of California. It's getting hotter as we go down to the valley, and we've got the air conditioner cranked, and those old Toyotas, they scrimped on the power of those air conditioners. So having it cranked, we were still sweating. And then we start to go up the hill, and the air conditioner goes out.
Yeah,
and then the engine starts to overheat. And just like Debbie and her Bon Appetit cooking, I had picked up somewhere on some radio talk show that if your car ever starts to overheat, the smart thing to do is to turn on the heater and pull all the hot air off the engine. So I go, don't worry about it, Deb. I got this. Turn on the heater. So we roll down all the windows, turn on the heater,
full blast.
And we start chugging up the hill, and that little dial keeps going up and up and up and up and up, and we're like holding our breath, hoping that our engine doesn't explode, and our little engine that could just keeps chugging up the hill, loaded down, and after a while, some of the kids in the back are starting to go, "Dad, it's getting kind of hot."
We didn't tell them. It's like cranking.
So fortunately, about the time they started noticing how hot it was in our car, we crested the hill and started heading down towards the coast. And the light on the engine started to come back down. And, we make it to the cool coastline and survived.
And we survived.
But the funny part about that whole thing is I had an idea. Turn on the heater. So
it's amazing how many of those ideas you get through the years, and it's nice that you can sit back and laugh at them now.
Well, it's funny. It's funny how much of life you improvise.
Yeah.
You just kind of make it up as you go.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons I like to do episodes like this once in a while, and hopefully if you are listening to this, click in on the video. It's really fun to watch, the interaction here. But you need to laugh, and you need to go, oh man, I have so many of those stories, and you write them down and just kind of remember them and laugh about them, because they really are, pretty funny as we look back. Okay. So I have another cooking story. Okay. Because a lot of mine are around. My sisters would be dying if they ever listened to my podcast on this one. So, but we were attending a fairly large church at this point, and I was one of the main musicians, and I would play every week opposite an organist, and this is where I learned to improvise, because the organist would change keys and all of this, and I'd have to follow and go along, and I was on this huge grand piano, and we had, I don't know how big the church was, at least a couple thousand, or it was a large group. So But our main minister, lived we were still in our little apartment. I called the hot box, upstairs. But our minister lived kind of just around,
couple blocks around the corner.
Around the corner. So his wife was out of town, and we said, "Oh, we'll invite him for dinner. That would be a nice thing to do." And he said, "Oh, sure." So I'm kind of getting ready and thinking, okay, what do I want him to have for dinner? At that time, Greg was working for Campbell Soup Company, the frozen food division, Swanson. And with our pastor coming over for dinner, I thought, and nothing against this, by the way, particular meal for many people, but I took out, because of my cooking episodes, I took out the frozen fried chicken out of the freezer. I still remember, he came over, he was so gracious. He came over and I just heated it up in the oven. I thought, there's my frozen. My mother, if I don't think I ever told her, she would have just turned in her grave thinking, "You did what?" I mean, I grew up with my mom, cooking the real thing, gotta have the oil, gotta have everything, all of that, to make it really crispy. Oh yeah, well, I just, took it out of the freezer, but I just remember him being very gracious, but now I look back and think, I cannot believe I got away with doing something like that.
Yeah, fortunately, he may have thought you baked it, but he probably wasn't aware that it had been frozen.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's actually, their food was very good. And as I remember, we had a lot of, especially Swanson, we had a lot of samples.
Well, fortunately, the company encouraged us to sample and to get our neighbors to try it so they'd experience it. So
puff pastry. What were their turnovers? Oh my goodness. Yeah, we should.
Yeah, but
we don't do that anymore.
Deb had apparently learned a lesson that she was not going to spend all day cooking and preparing for a special guest.
Nope. Did not need to take out the Bon Appetit. Those were gone by now anyway, I think. So
I wonder if you whipped up real whipped cream for dessert that day.
Oh, it was way too long ago for me to remember that.
Yeah.
I do remember just the fried chicken story. That was the funny one. So
the funny thing was that oven would have heated up our entire apartment.
Oh yeah. It was so hot. Upstairs, no air conditioning. And it was just really hot. It was just every time it got warm, there was just no I don't think they had any insulation. Anyway, but it was cheap and it was a good location and finishing graduate work, and you had just been released from baseball, and we were happy.
Yeah.
We were happy. Yeah. We had a place,
And we had a delightful time that afternoon.
We really did. We had a great time.
We have laughed at ourselves about that incident for a long time.
Yeah. And we had... but it was fun. So, well, you had another little story.
Yeah. So this one is meant to be self-deprecating. As most of you probably know, I was a professional baseball player, so I knew a fair amount about baseball, especially when I was coaching my kids in Little League. The difference in level of experience was quite high, and we had 3 boys, and they were all about 2 years apart. They were normal, energetic boys. And this one season, my middle one and my youngest one were on the same team. And as practice was going, I'd been given the outfielders, and 2 other coaches were working with the infielders and the pitchers. And we were working that day on catching fly balls. So I had, 6, 7, 10-year-old, 11-year-old boys out, and I was throwing fly balls to each of them and trying to teach them how to get under the ball and catch it, and things were going along fine, and until my 2 squirrely, I think one was 10 and the other was 11 at this point in time, and I'm not going to tell you which one, but if you knew our boys, you'd be able to guess which one instigated this. Is that one of them's getting ready to catch a fly ball, and that I had just thrown, and and before I get there, so whenever you're managing 6 or 7 11-year-old boys, crowd control is vital. It can get out of hand in an instant. We could be off chasing kites, birds. Boom, just like that. So keeping everything moving and keeping their attention is critical. Now remember, if I had 7 boys I was working with, 2 of them were mine.
Yeah.
And which means that 2 of them should have known better. Okay, back to the action. So I throw one of my sons a fly ball, and one of my other delightful little boys thinks up the idea that, I bet I could make this a little bit more challenging. If I throw my glove at my brother just as he's trying to catch the ball, that would be fun. So,
have I heard this story?
Yes, yeah. So, the ball's mid-flight, and my one son throws his glove at the other boy just as it's coming down, and the other boy fortunately catches it. It doesn't hit him in the face, and then starts giggling and throws his glove at the other boy. At which point, you know what happens next. All 7 boys start throwing their gloves based on my 2 boys starting the whole thing. So in an instance, if you're far away, I'm barking at my boys using a tone that I would never use with another child. I'm not swearing, but I'm much more assertive with my 2 boys. So in a voice that you could hear off Broadway, I'm telling them to knock it off and da, 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 da. At which point the 2 other coaches come running over, thinking that I am completely out of control. And I get schooled by these 2 other coaches because they think that I'm yelling at all of the boys. And I have to roll my eyes. I'm embarrassed. And all of this is really because of a 10-year-old and an 11-year-old just being brotherly boys. And but I'll never forget it. All the gloves flying and how fast that whole thing went downhill.
That is. Yeah, it's boy, there was quite a bit of action in those.
Yeah.
I tell you,
and it could happen in an instant.
Okay, so that brings up one more. This will be our last story. It's related to athletics, and I don't think I had shared this the last time. If I did, you can laugh again. But we were, every year we had to buy new uniforms and get everything. So I'm in the sporting goods store, and I'm focused. I'm getting on the right. Okay, so the right pants. I got the right everything for their team, and I'm going. Okay, where are the boys? Where are they? I got them all.
Now, just remember that we have 3 boys.
Yeah.
2 of them were involved in the fly ball glove throwing.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So just guess who's involved in this story.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, where did the boys go? Oh, I haven't lost them. I know they.
Now, remember, she's in the middle of a sporting goods store.
Yes, middle of a store, and it's big. It's big, and I'm really focused. I get focused, and then so I'm going. Okay, where are the boys? I find them down one of the aisles, and they have those athletic cups. All of them, the big ones, the big athletic hard cups. Playing catch with them, and I'm like.
Now wait! Just in case you don't know what an athletic cup is, it's something that boys and men wear over their private parts to make sure that they don't get hit there.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
And so and they're hard, And now I grew up with sisters. I had never even seen anything like that until. I met Greg. Really, I had no reason to.
Until you washed mine with the Reds.
Well. Oh, yeah.
And it turned pink.
Did I do that? Yeah, I did. That'll be another one is the washing clothes episodes. You're probably wondering, where was your mother? So, but yeah, I was horrified. And it was really funny. Probably anyone else just thought, oh yeah, they're being boys. But I was horrified.
They were throwing them, right? Playing catch with them.
They were playing catch. They were using them as
mitts.
gloves.
That's right.
And they had found a ball and they were glued. So they were men's athletic cups, hard ones.
Yeah.
And they were anyway. If you have any visual of that, you will be laughing because it was like horrified. And I'm sure that has probably if any mothers are listening to this, it has probably brought up memories of what has happened.
Did you already tell them the story about the pitcher of water?
I think I did that
Okay,
last
all
time,
right,
but
all
I'll
right.
make sure that that was done. I think I did the pitcher. Oh, I might not have done the pitcher of water. We might have. That's a really funny one, though.
We'll add that to the next
The
one.
next time, oh, it's coming. The next time, next year, I'll have to put that on the prompter list.
Yeah, the boys were a little older by this
Yeah, a
one.
little older by this one, but yeah, it was a very funny story. Yeah,
So that's the tease for part 3.
Yeah, that we'll do. We'll probably wait another year, but yeah, this was fun. So but thank you for joining us, all of you who have listened in to this little unusual episode, but it's so much fun. And you can reach me at any time, womenathalftime.com, or Deborah Johnson Speaker, DJ Works Music, Goals for Your Life. There's a lot of different websites, but you can get there at all of those websites from womenathalftime.com. And every single week we have a new episode. I am on again next week, and I come on twice a month. Greg and I come on once a month, and then I have a special guest once a month. So make sure that you follow and you subscribe to our newsletter. And how you do that is goalsforyourlife.com/newsletter. And you will get every single episode. Usually I write an article with every episode. And I'm starting to slip in some live streams with music too. So make sure you don't miss any of those episodes and shows that we have. So thank you again for joining us today. And we will look forward to being with you next time. So bye for now. Thank you for joining us. It is because of our wonderful listeners like you that we keep going strong week after week. Share and follow us for new shows to inspire you and encourage you in your life's journey. You can find all of our articles and links at womenathalftime.com.